All right, everybody, we're back with a brand new Friday review. Excited to get into today's show. We've got a fun recovery and training-based centered show. Usually it's anything goes. We have two different research studies. We always have a product review, typically a book review of the week, a little bit of updates from what's been going on inside of our integrative health practice. Today, though, I'm keeping it centered around, I have a fun little story about this week in training, about high performance health, about anti-aging, longevity, exercise training, and a little bit of gut health. So let's dive right into the show. Before we get started, I just want to make sure that you know that all this week and only this week, over at EquiLife, just so you know, is our summer sale. It happens once per year, and it's the best deal that you're going to find. It's 30% off, up to 30% off everything store-wide. That's over 100 different protocols, labs, and products. You can find them all at stephencabral.com/shop. All right, what are the updates, though, happening from the show over the past week? Well, on Monday, we went over the 5 tips from couples that make it. This was actually an amazing Instagram post, and actually I think I gave you a couple more than 5. I think I gave you 7, from Dr. Nicole LaPera. And these were tips that she's seen in her practice from people, and she's a licensed psychologist, has done great work, from people that have basically been able to make the most of their relationships. And the thing is, any one of us can model this. So I wanted to bring that show to you. On Tuesday's show was the 9 hidden preservatives to stay clear of when food shopping. So these are basically the 9 ingredients that if it shows up on a package label, my wife and I say, nope, that one's going in the trash, right? So if we bought it, unfortunately, if we didn't see it, it's in the trash. But for the most part, we're looking at that when we're shopping, whether it's online shopping or right in the store. And actually, I still like going to the store. All right, Wednesday's show was the best fix for leaky gut. This was kind of our culmination show over the last couple of weeks, and it was a step-by-step guide as to how to decrease what are called lipopolysaccharides. Really important that you know what these are, as well as how to get rid of, rebalance, identify, and heal and seal the gut. Probably one of the most important things that you can do for your overall health. For sure, all-cause mortality, as well as living with debilitating inflammatory autoimmune issues. All right, yesterday's show was add the 16-minute workout once a week to your routine. I'm going to be sharing with you my personal debut with that, my personal undertaking of it, as well as a few books and even a study on this. All right, so let's dive right into the show. I want to share that story right now. So my typical workout week lately, it changes every 12 weeks. So basically, my programs change once a quarter, and then on a more micro level, they change every 4 to 6 weeks. So I might get three routine changes over a 90-day period, basically my 12-week year, or maximum, 2 to 3, right? So every 4 weeks to every 6 weeks, if I'm still making progress, I won't change the routine. And so right now, it's really looked like, I should say, weight training on Mondays, cardio on Tuesdays, weights back on Wednesdays, cardio Thursdays, weights Friday, cardio back on Saturday, Sunday off. Now you might say like, well, that sounds like a lot. Well, it's really not, and here's why. I'm getting no more than 30 to 40 minutes per workout. So I am not training for hours at a time. I am in and I am out. I already know my plan. I execute on that plan and I'm done because it's at the end of my workday and it's right before dinner. And so during that time, I know that I have a small window before dinner that I have to get it done. I also know that I have to start at a specific time or I won't be able to fit everything in. So it's very concise, but I've been doing this for years. I first did it with clients in the late 90s and early 2000s. There were always 45-minute workouts. And truthfully, they were more like 40-minute workouts, 35, 40-minute workouts, and the last 5 to 10 minutes was going to be interval sprints or foam rolling, etc. I want to share both of those with you here today. So what I did on Monday was a start to my new program, which was actually going to be some sprint-based work. So here's what it is. It is for my show yesterday, which is about the Sprint 8 and the PACE program by Dr. Sayers. So Phil Campbell, as well as Dr. Sayers, talked over a decade ago about 30-second sprint, followed by 90 seconds of rest, and doing that 8 times. That is also going to be our book review today. So if you missed yesterday's show, I'm going to give you a couple tips there as well. But what I'm doing is actually adding this 1 day per week for my cardio. And the reason is the studies are on 3 days per week. I'm going to do it twice, one on a bike, one running, and how they improve body fat percentage, natural growth hormone release. So the same release that you would get, if not better, from actually injecting growth hormones, you can get a natural growth hormone release, and the improvement with overall fitness, cardiovascular, and more. So it's not easy though. That's the thing. It is not easy. I've done bike sprints, no doubt about it. I talk about the Assault bike that I love. I've recommended the Schwinn Airdyne before, and I've recommended the Rogue. Those are all at stephencabral.com/resources. And I crank those without a doubt. That's typically after a weight workout because it's such a short workout. I warm up for 3 minutes and then I crank out 30-second sprints followed by 90 seconds of rest. So it's max effort. This is not HIIT training. This is SIT training, sprint interval training. Again, I'll give you a couple books. If you didn't tune into yesterday's show, I would tune into yesterday's show. It explains everything really simply put. So it's only 12 minutes of work. So I do that directly after a weight training workout once per week. So my weight training workout that day is no more than 30 minutes, and then I hop on the bike and that's it. And typically it's like a 25-minute workout, and then I'm on that bike actually for 20 minutes, and I'm typically using EWAT, but when I'm in Maine, I don't have the exercise with oxygen therapy. I'm not going to get too deep down that rabbit hole, but I keep things fairly straightforward. So literally, I've got weights, and then my next day, which was yesterday in my routine, I went to the local college, the local university. I'm very fortunate in Maine to be close to one. And I did sprints on their football field. So they have a 100-meter field. And what I did was I did a mile and a half warm up. So I got the body warmed up. I like to do some endurance based anyway, some zone 2, get the blood pumping. I did some specific warm ups, some basically speed skaters. I did some what are called basically butt kicks and Frankenstein hip swings, like all sorts of different things to open my body. And then, as I talked about yesterday, I did one sprint at just about 70%. That's it. And I only did that one for about 50, 60 yards, and then I just kind of walked it off. Okay, so here's what I did though. I did this full workout sprinting, not on a bike, and it absolutely crushed me. So my word that typically when I went home and I saw my daughters, I was sweating. If you follow me on Instagram, I put up my stories and I said, here's the thing. I'm on a field. There's other collegiate, there are collegiate athletes. I'm not one of them. And they're practicing, they're 25 years or so younger, maybe even a little bit more. And I'm doing my sprints, down the sidelines. But, I love it. I have no issues with that whatsoever. It's fun. And, I don't really care what anybody necessarily thinks because I'm enjoying the process. I'm enjoying trying to build some speed into my workout and also get into these sprint 8s. But the story was this. I was absolutely done after the 7th one. And I said, I'm going to do one more, but I'm going to stop if I feel anything locking up. And so I finished that 8th one, but I was completely smoked. Like I was done. And I knew that I was going to be sore this next day, which is today when I'm recording. And I just knew it going to bed. I was like, I have not done a workout like that in many, many years because sprinting biomechanically is just different than on a bike. It is full acceleration, locomotion, leaning forward, driving into it. My quads, I could feel it much more because you're actually braking. You're trying not to brake, but every time your heel or your foot touches, you're feeling that impact. So it was a lot of fun. It was extremely difficult, but all that to say is that it was amazing and I was really sore today. Now you might say, well, why did you do it if you knew you were going to be so sore? So the truth is this, I don't train to be sore. That's not it. I actually train not to be sore. I get a good workout. I'm doing this because I want to do it for the next 50 plus years of my life. And here's the thing. Sometimes though, right? Sometimes that inner collegiate weightlifter in me wants to come out and just wants to do a hard workout. And that's what I did, right? Like that meathead mentality. I still have that in me and I love it. I have no issues with that. I don't want to be that sore. So this happens very rarely, but I knew I was going to, but I still wanted to get in that workout. So here's what I did today though. And this is actually the product review of the week is that I used specific tools, some of which I've recommended before, not all. And I wanted to share with you what I did right after the workout, which was really simple. And so these are low tech. There's a lot of high tech that you can use, Normatec leggings, sauna, cold plunges, like all sorts of different things. I'm giving you low cost, low tech today, which is exactly what I did. So Post-workout last night, I am close to the ocean. The ocean in Maine is cold. We're talking 58, 60 degrees still. And when you get into it, even if you only go waist deep, you're getting a lot of that anti-inflammatory based benefit. So that's a great one, but you can also just do cold or contrast showers. That's it. You can just do it in the lower body if you don't like them. So if you worked and you train the legs hard, no problem at all. The legs have a tendency to get, pretty sore because that's the majority of the muscles between your hip bone and your kneecap, hopefully, for most people. So you can just go 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. So 30 seconds cold, 30 seconds warm, 30 seconds cold, 30 seconds warm. I like to end with warm. Some people like to end with cold. That's not necessarily me. Now, when you're in the ocean, you're ending with cold. It's just the way that it is, right? Okay, so that's one thing, but it's super easy. The other thing that you need to do is take your supplements and hydrate, all right? So eat a good meal, non-inflammatory meal, of course. Take your nutritional supplements, your omega-3s, your Inflammasoothe. I took extra magnesium last night. I took a little extra of my liquid melatonin, all things that would get me into good sleep. And then I also made sure that I got plenty of hydration. And this is gonna sound strange, but when I went to bed, that my urine was now light yellow or close to clear, so that I was making sure that my body was fully hydrated. All right, so that was basically in the AM. And then today, I made sure that I hydrated in the morning. Okay, I use my daily fruit and vegetable blend. I get in a little bit of vitamin C, all those good things, my probiotic, which I did this morning. And then I went for a walk. So I went for a 25-minute walk, not my longer walk, but 25, maybe 30 minutes maximum. And I would have gone longer, but truthfully, that I work on these calls, and I had to get back to my office for this one. I actually had to get back for the second one, be on Zoom. So it is what it is. It happens. But when I was at my desk, I want to show you exactly what I used. If you're watching this on video, especially on YouTube, we appreciate you subscribing to the show, sharing this with others as well. But I used this device, and I'm just going to kind of make a little noise with it, and I'm going to link it up here today at stevencabral.com/3087. Anybody can check out the links right there. This is basically like a rolling pin, but it's these dimpled hard plastic rollers that I used to literally roll up and down my quadriceps and my IT band, and then underhand along my hamstring and along my calves. So I was foam rolling my hips, the top of my legs, which are your quadriceps, under the legs, behind them, which are your hamstrings, the inside of the legs, which are the ab and adductors, so inside and outside of the legs, the hard part on the outside of the leg, which is the ITB or iliotibial band, and then you have calves. So this device, though, was incredible, and I've shared with you before the foam roller. I'll show it to you right now. There are so many different types of foam rollers. Honestly, this one's a little bit more painful. I wouldn't start with a dimpled foam roller right away. I do have the softer, flatter ones as well. This one came, though, with a device basically inside of it that stores all these different tools. I'm going to show you those right now. But the reason why I didn't start with the foam roller today is that I was extremely sore. And so getting on that foam roller was going to lock up my nervous system. I was going to feel the pain, and that's not what I wanted whatsoever. This rolling pin device, which is probably like $10, allowed me to massage my legs with a little bit of pressure right over my shorts, and it enabled me then to loosen up my muscles. So between the walk and the hydration and the rolling, and then you can use a device like this, which is just to help stretch. So it's a stretching strap, very simple, very straightforward. I was able to loosen up these muscles. And by the time lunchtime came, I would say 85 to 90% of that soreness is now gone, which is incredible because I like to train every day except Sundays. Sundays are just the day off, and it just switches. So today's weight, so it's not going to be as crazy on my legs here today, and it enables me to get a little something in every day. That's the goal. And when I look at that, okay, I'm kind of sticking to it. I'm someone that likes to stick with a specific time each day, stay in a routine. But moral of the story is that you don't necessarily need super expensive equipment. Low-tech tools also work, and that is this rolling pin device that I'm going to link up here today, foam roller. This set used to come at least with the peanut, so you can roll your mid-back, which is great as well. And then this one right here, that's fantastic for your feet. So you take off your sneakers, take off your shoes, and you can roll the bottom of your foot. Really great if you have plantar fasciitis or any type of tightness in the feet. So wanted to share that with you. That is exactly what I do. And you know what? It worked incredibly today, allowed me to recover that much faster and not miss a workout. That's the truth. The other great thing that I just want to share with you is that one of the reasons why I love pushing myself and doing sometimes these harder workouts is that for 10 years, I used to have flu-like symptoms after a hard workout. Just to pick up basketball game with my buddies in college, I would be completely wiped out. I would be inflamed the next day, brain fog, all my joints hurt. It was awful. It was completely awful. That's when I had autoimmune issues, Addisons, POTS, mast cell activation syndrome, and a lot more. So now, for me to be sore with my muscles, but not my whole body systemically, is amazing. So for me, even though it sounds kind of strange to say, my body was totally crushed by it, but it wasn't. My muscles were. It was an appropriate response without being the full body. And so that's why I just share with people, there's hope for everybody. If I don't have to live with all the issues, all the inflammation, all the autoimmune, the Addison's disease, and what really overtook my life for so long is incredible. Now, it's been many years since I got well, but those types of things never go away. When you suffered like that for 10 years and you no longer have it, it's just more to be grateful for. So just wanted to share that with you. The book review, I'm just going to go over that one real quick because yesterday I talked about it so much. The Dr. Sayers Pace book. It's again, I just shared with you the summary. It's going to be about a 3 to 5 minute warm up. You're going to do 30-second sprint, which on an exercise bike, ideally, not outside. Don't do that yet. Exercise bike first, followed by 90 seconds of just active recovery period of just kind of moving the legs on that exercise bike. And you're going to do that up to 8 rounds. If you've never done it before, don't do 8. Start with 3 to 4. You can just add 1 a week. And again, we have time. Everybody has time. You'll be able to get there. And then a 3 to 5 minute cool down. Okay, so the other book is Phil Campbell's Sprint 8. It's the same Phil Campbell's book. I have both of these books. They're both excellent. I'm going to link them up. And then those are some sprint interval-based training. Different than HIIT, different than the strength training book that I put out before, which is called A Man's Guide to Muscle and Strength. It's for men and women. The publisher just wanted to call it A Man's Guide. And that's a great combination. So zone 2 cardio, sprinting, and strength training, pretty fantastic. So hopefully that review was helpful. And thanks for allowing me to share that story as well. I love being able to share a little bit from my life and how things aren't always smooth. They're not always easy. But if I keep sticking with this, it is going to get easier until, of course, I take it to that next level. All right, let's go over now the research. This is going to be a nice end cap for the last couple of weeks with leaky gut, exercise, everything pulled together. So research study, sedentary people have a higher blood level of lipopolysaccharides than those of untrained people. So sedentary individuals get more lipopolysaccharides than those that are highly trained. So this is a 12-week interval exercise program that lowered LPS levels in 20 obese women. I know it's a small study, but important to look at this because they also looked at individuals that were highly trained. So a single session of high-intensity interval training lowered LPS-stimulated TNF-alpha release immediately following and 1.5 hours after exercise in a study of 19 participants. Why that 1.5 is actually important is because they found about 2 hours after a high LPS creating meal is when things peak. So it's important to look at that. But I want to add the however. However, when you first get into exercise, you can actually increase gut permeability because of the stress in the body. So when you do something really hard and stressful in the body, it actually increases gut permeability. So that's why in IHP, we're always recommended a graduated exercise program, right? So gradual, you gently move up over time. You don't just do the 8 sprints from the Sprint 8 program. That's not the goal. The goal is to work your way up. And once you've done the bike sprints, okay, maybe you try some outdoor running ones. All right. So I want to share that with you. Of course, I'll link all the research today at 3087. Last research study for the day is people have written in and say, is there a way for me to measure my lipopolysaccharides? And the answer is yes, there is. So there's a lot of indirect ways that I don't think are, it's not that it's not accurate. You can absolutely look at interleukins and specific cytokines, et cetera, but it could be from a multitude of different issues as to why those are elevated. So let me give you 3 to 4 labs that you could ask your PCP to run. these aren't really available anywhere else. You kind of have to ask your doctor, but if you have a good doctor, they will be able to write these off for you. Okay, so the first one is probably the gold standard. It's called the LBP test, LPS binding protein test, okay? So LPS, the B is binding, and then we've got protein, okay, LBP. So this is extremely reliable for looking at lipopolysaccharides in the blood. The issue is, it's like, well, when do you run this? So it's always going to be lowest when you're fasting, and then it's going to be highest after a meal. And so for me, if I really wanted to see, am I spilling a lot of LPS, lipopolysaccharides, into my blood, I would personally run this, try to run it like 2 hours after a meal, because that's when it's supposedly highest. And so if you have a high score, okay, well then either the meal is the issue, which I taught you which foods raise it and which foods don't, and we can link up that podcast. But it also absolutely does mean that you have greater amounts of inflammation from those LPSs. Okay, so that's probably the gold standard. 3 other tests though that are good as well. The endotoxin activity assay, and that's the EAA, okay? So that's another one that looks at endotoxins in the body. So maybe not just LPSs, but definitely endotoxins in the body. Then there's the endotoxin core antibodies test that looks at your IgG, IgA, and IgM levels in regards to antibodies created to the LPS, essentially bacteria, okay? That's a pretty good one as well. So that's your immune response. Remember, IgA happens pretty quick, the reaction. IgM, a little delayed. IgG, latent response. So I do like that test as well. That's a great one. Maybe you can run that with your LBP. All right, the last one is the soluble CD14 test, also referred to as the SCD14. And this looks at a co-receptor for LPSs that's released into the bloodstream when you have one of these endotoxin or endotoxemia-based events. And so probably not my most favorite, but definitely can look at LPS activation. So if you can, run them all. If you can't, at least run the LBP. And if you can add on another, personally, I would do the endotoxin core antibodies test to also look at that IgG, which I like IgG food sensitivity testing. I like an IgG in general, because I get to say, oh, that one was delayed anyways. It's the IgG picked up on something over the last couple of days as well. So that's why I love, if whenever possible, multiple labs that may just say the same thing, and you say, okay, yeah, there is something here. Multiple labs are saying the same thing. So hopefully this was helpful. What I'm going to do is link everything up in the show notes. That'll all be at stephencabral.com/3087. We will be back tomorrow answering our community's questions. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. Appreciate you. Have an amazing weekend. Thanks so much for tuning into today's show. Before you go, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I want to make sure that you're getting our daily content, not missing out on anything. Functional medicine, wellness, weight gain, weight loss, anti-aging, living longer, stronger, and all of the most cutting-edge research. And if there's any topics you want to hear, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Take care.